With the Knicks season starting in 2 days, what are the keys that the Knicks fans have to keep an eye on for a successful season? All that and much more on the Knicks Digest. What's up, guys? It's your boy Dariel once again. Let's get right into today's video. The first one, we're going to be talking about Coach Thibs. Yes, Coach Thibs, in my opinion, has done a great job, and the front office has done a great job of putting the right players around Coach Thibs. And up until this point, I think Coach Thibs has done a great job. But I am the one that's going to be standing on this island all by himself. It's okay with me. I'm going to be the one that's going to be continuously challenging Coach Thibs, continuously asking, is Coach Thibs the right man for the job to take us over the hump? And when I say over the hump, it's a NBA Finals appearance. The New York Knicks organization, we haven't had an NBA Finals appearance technically since 99-2000 or the 98-99 season when it was that lockout year and we lost to the San Antonio Spurs. But prior to that, it was in the early 70s when we won 2 NBA championships. And as far as the New York Knicks being one of, if not the biggest market in the NBA, not having an NBA championship since the early 70s, it's an absolute embarrassment. We should be one of the teams that should be contending or should be in the conversation for NBA Finals appearance, but we just haven't. And with Coach Thibs, the hiring of Coach Thibs, he's had, in my opinion, a successful tenure as a Knicks head coach, but with the talent that we've amassed lately, re-signing OG, trading for Mikal, trading for Cat, there's going to be a time where we're going to have to point to Coach Thibs and be like, are you the man for the job? Are you the man that's going to take us to the promised land and win an NBA championship, perhaps? At this point, I think Knicks fans, I think I can talk for all of us and say that we'll be happy with an NBA Finals appearance. We haven't had an NBA Finals appearance since that lockout season, but prior to that, in the 94 season where we lost to the Houston Rockets and Hakeem Olajuwon. And I don't know, man, we got to look at Coach Thibs' track history. Like the Chicago Bulls, Eastern Conference Finals, and of course, Derrick Rose with all those injuries. It pretty much decimated the whole trajectory of the Bulls franchise. But ever since that one Eastern Conference Finals appearance, what has Coach Thibs done when he's been the leader of the team, when he's been the coach of the team? They never got back to the Eastern Conference Finals when the rest of his tenure with the Chicago Bulls. From Chicago, he went to the Minnesota Timberwolves. And Minnesota, he was there for maybe 3-4 seasons. And granted, the talent that he had on that team wasn't great. It's not all Coach Thibs' fault. But the furthest he could lead them was a first-round playoff appearance, losing to the Houston Rockets in the first round. I think it was in 5 games. At that time, you had Karl Anthony Towns, you had Andrew Wiggins. I believe Zach LaVine was on that team, maybe. Jimmy Butler was on that team. One of the reasons why Jimmy Butler went to the Minnesota Timberwolves was because of Thibs being the head coach. You can't put all the blame on Coach Thibs as to why that Minnesota team didn't really perform to their level, but Coach Thibs was the coach of that team, and they go as Coach Thibs goes. And after Minnesota, that's when he goes to the New York Knicks. First season, I believe, no playoff appearance. And then Julius Randle and Derrick Rose and maybe Courtney Lee on that team. They go in the first round against the Atlanta Hawks, losing in 5, embarrassingly. And then the season after that, no playoffs. And then the season after that is Jalen Brunson's first season. We get to the second round. And then last season, we get to the second round. So it's been a bit of an up and down situation with Coach Thibs, but as of late, the last 2 seasons, we've gone to the second round. And now this season, again, Julius Randle's not here, but we were able to acquire Cat, able to trade for Mikal. We were able to re-sign OG. Mikal and OG are in a conversation for top perimeter defenders in the league. We have talent on this team. We have the pieces. We're not fully there yet, in my opinion, but we're definitely on the right path. So how far can Coach Thibs lead us? If this is our team with Mitchell Robinson coming back not until 2025, so January, February, and let's say, knock on wood, he has a healthy remainder of the season all the way throughout the playoffs. Coach Thibs, is he going to put everybody in the right position? Is he going to maximize the talent that he has on this team? Is he finally going to be able to put Karl Anthony Towns in the right position to maximize his talent and potential? These are the questions that I'm asking regarding Coach Thibs. These are the questions and the things that I'm looking for in this upcoming season. And I'm not necessarily saying that if we have a disappointing season, I'm not necessarily saying that I'm going to be pointing the finger at Coach Thibs. because there could be a number of reasons. There could be injuries. There could be players not playing up to their potential, a la Cat. But as far as right now, I just think one of the things that we got to keep an eye on is Coach Thibs, his rotations. And, of course, the classic Coach Thibs knock is him playing his players in the regular season 45, 48 minutes in the middle of February when these games are kind of pointless. That's something that we got to keep an eye on. Are we going to see Coach Thibs evolve his coaching style? Are we going to see him try something different? But that's that. Now, the next key for our upcoming season, like I said earlier, the acquisition of Mikal Bridges and the re-signing of OG Anunoby. Now, these two players, I'm looking at the bigger picture. The bigger picture is going up against the Boston Celtics in the Eastern Conference Finals. Of course, that team is being led by Jaylen Brown and Jason Tatum. Jason Tatum, in my opinion, is the best player on the team. But having Mikal Bridges and OG Anunoby, man, that's going to do wonders for us in the playoffs, specifically if we go up against the Boston Celtics. Now, these numbers that I'm going to be pulling up, the Mikal Bridges stats for last season, 19.6 points, 4.5 rebounds, 3.6 assists. Those numbers were with the Brooklyn Nets. And we should not be expecting those numbers for Mikal Bridges this upcoming season because Mikal Bridges was looked at as the go-to player on that Brooklyn Nets team. And he's in a different role. He's in a different position this upcoming season. Jalen Brunson is the best player on the team. And behind Jalen Brunson, I think a lot of us would say Karl Anthony Towns. Mikal Bridges is a rotational player who has a specific role. His specific role, alongside OG Anunoby, is to defend the best player on the opposing team, try to limit his points, try to limit his touches. And Mikal Bridges, of course, is able to put the ball in the bucket, but he doesn't have that responsibility. He doesn't have that pressure on his shoulders this season. I'm talking playoffs. I'm talking specifically playoffs. When the playoffs come around, barring everybody being healthy, it's going to give Mikal Bridges the opportunity to fully focus on his task at hand, which I keep saying time and time again, is to focus on the best offensive player on the opposing team alongside his teammate OG Anunoby. OG Anunoby last season averaged 14.7 points, 4.2 rebounds, and 2.1 assists. Again, those numbers, you got to mix in the Toronto Raptors because he did get traded midseason towards the New York Knicks. Now, a question that I have regarding OG Anunoby is his health. We all know that OG Anunoby pulled his hamstring pretty bad against the Indiana Pacers in that series where he came back and played in Game 7, but he just couldn't move at all. But kudos to OG for playing in that game and trying to give it his all. But one thing I'm going to be keeping an eye on with OG is just his health, his duration. Is he going to be able to withstand those Coach Thibs minutes? Like I said in the first segment, talking about Coach Thibs running his players into the ground. Hopefully Coach Thibs has learned from his mistakes, but maybe he hasn't. And what if OG is not able actually to play all those minutes? What if, again, this upcoming season he wears down and in the playoffs he has another sort of injury? Only time will tell, but this is one of the keys that I'm keeping my eye on. The tandem of Mikal Bridges and OG Anunoby taking some of the responsibility, some of the pressure off Jalen Brunson and Karl Anthony Towns, not having to rely on them defending the best player on the opposing team. We got Mikal and OG for that, and now we freed up Jalen Brunson and Karl Anthony Towns to do their thing on the offensive end. But now, in my opinion, the most important key in this upcoming season, like I keep saying in all the videos that I've been putting out, you guys have probably guessed it by now, I'm talking about Karl Anthony Towns. And it's pretty interesting because prior to the trade, the number one key that I had for this upcoming season was actually Julius Randle. And just to harp a little bit on the Julius Randle tenure with the Knicks, and in my notes I had, this is it for Randle. I'm cutting back on the Randle hate, but if I hear of reports or see articles of him not being happy with his role on the team or not happy with his touches in the offense, I'm out. I'm giving Julius Randle the benefit of the doubt this upcoming season. Again, this is prior to the trade, so this is as if Julius Randle never got traded and he was going to be able to play with Dante, with Mikal, with OG, with Jalen. This is the beginning of a championship window with the Knicks, and we cannot afford any BS. Those were my notes regarding Julius Randle and Julius Randle being my number one key for this upcoming season. Now, transitioning from that to Cat, listen, man, I'm going to keep it real short, sweet, and simple. Cat needs to play to his level. He needs to finally put all the pieces together And hopefully he can do it. We just need one season out of Cat where he puts everything together. He knows when to attack the basket and not to rely on that three-point line. He knows to raise his basketball IQ and not have no boneheaded fouls, specifically in the playoffs or however deep we go in the playoffs. Cat needs to use his skills and he needs to use his talent to his advantage and stop underwhelming the NBA fans. And now that you're with the Knicks, Cat, we're going to be watching you like a hawk, man. Everybody talks about the Knicks, the New York market, and how it's one of, if not the biggest market in the NBA. And if you don't play good like the New York market, they will be all over you. And that's something that Cat hasn't really had to deal with. He's been in Minnesota his whole career. This is going to be the first time where he's going to be in a big market. Is Karl Anthony Towns going to be able to handle all of that stress, all of that critique? I'm not too sure. But what I'm more worried about Karl Anthony Towns on the court. We're going to need him to step up to the plate when Jalen Brunson, the further we go in the playoffs, where the defensive schemes are going to be drawn up all around Jalen Brunson to double, to triple, to blitz him, to trap him. There's going to be all of these different defensive schemes drawn up for Jalen Brunson, and we're going to need somebody to back him up. Last year, we didn't have that because Julius Randle went out with his shoulder injury, and then next thing you know, bodies started dropping left and right. But this year, Karl Anthony Towns, like, there's no question. You're the second best player behind Jalen Brunson. We're going to need you to help him out. Jalen Brunson, for the first 2 seasons, he's done his job. He's turned the franchise around. Get the respect that we've been wanting for so long. And now that we've been able to trade for you, you're here to get us over the hump. We didn't trade for you to keep us in the same place where we've been. Second round loss, second round exit in the playoffs. We got you in order for us to get to the Eastern Conference Finals. Now, is Karl Anthony Towns going to be able to do that? I'm a bit more pessimistic than a lot of my friends, than a lot of the NBA talking head shows. They're all saying that the Knicks are going to make a deep playoff run. They're all saying that the front office is doing a wonderful job, which they have. I just don't know if what we gave up for what we got back was the right move. In my opinion, I would have waited and I would have watched how Julius Randle blended with Dante and the rest of the Villanova crew. Chemistry is something that's not easy to come by, man. And we had chemistry with Josh, Dante, and Jalen. And then we were going to add Mikal Bridges to that, but we shipped out Dante. There's just so many questions surrounding this team, man. And in my opinion, I think Cat is going to be the most important piece. I think Cat is going to be the reason why we fail or we succeed this upcoming season. Now, before I wrap up the video, what does a successful season look like? I would say Eastern Conference Finals appearance. That is if Cat plays to the level that we all expect him to play. It's an Eastern Conference Finals appearance. Going up against the Boston Celtics, then that's anyone's game. I obviously would have the Knicks. I'll probably have that in 6 or 7 game series, but you can't sleep on the reigning defending champions. That would be a successful season. A failure of a season, barring injuries, barring anything crazy happening. Man, if we lose in the second round again, man, I think we would have to say that's a failure of a season. At this point, if we lose in the second round, that'd be 3 seasons in a row with the ascension of Jalen Brunson, and we're not able to capitalize on that. I think you could say it's a failure of a season. With the caliber of player that Karl Anthony Towns is and that I think he can be, I think it would be looked at as a failure. There are so many more keys that I could get into. The bench play, the ascension of Deuce McBride. There's so many different ways I can go, but I'm going to keep it at those 3 keys for the upcoming season, guys. So if you guys checked out this video, you liked what you saw, remember to hit that thumbs up, subscribe to the Knicks Digest channel, and until next time, you guys always know the drill, you know the vibes. Jalen Brunson for MVP, the Deuce is loose for co-MVP, Taj Gibson for president, Mikal Bridges for Defensive Player of the Year. It's a big season coming up, guys, and we're 2 days away from opening tip. We're going to be in Boston. It's going to be a really good game. But this is an important season, man. This season, we're going to see if the Knicks can finally answer the prayers of their fans. But, guys, until next time, I want to say thank you so much for checking out this video, and I'll check you on the next one.